Hey guys, kayak fishing Carl. I heard about a technique a while ago that's mostly a bass technique, but I've heard about it so much lately, listening to podcasts and in magazines and in a lot of other media, that I figured there had to be something to it. So where I live, there's no bass, like none, not in the entire province. I would have to drive very, very far, like, you know, a weekend or a week long trip to catch largemouth bass or smallmouth bass. So that being said, I heard so much about this technique that I figured I didn't have much to lose if I wanted to give it a try. And the technique is actually about a bait called a chatterbait. So you guys can see that right there. Basically, it's a jig head with a skirt, jig body, and this blade in front of it. So sometimes these are called a shaky head, I think I've heard, or a shaky blade, I should say. I've heard them by a couple different names, but I believe the progenitor of this was Z-Man. They kind of patented this. So there's a couple different ways or companies that you can get the parts to make these, and that's what I did. I'll talk about that in a second, but for me, I wanted to give these a try, even though I fish mostly for pike and walleye. So I was going to a lake at the end of the season. I was actually going to go camping with some friends of ours, and I wanted to have a chance to take my kayak out. So I ended up ordering a bunch of components, and I gave this a try. So here's how I made these. And if you guys notice, the little fish bodies on there are by Gary Yamamoto. They're called a Zaco. There you can see it without the skirt. And I can see why this little shape is so popular. It's got a ton of movement, and it seems to really jive. It's got rather than a fluke style tail that's kind of horizontal, it has a vertical tail, more like a real fish. And it moves really well in the water. As you can see, the profile there has a lot of thin spots that let it move really well in the water, but still stands up okay to teeth. Anyways, I did get a chance to build some of these, and I got a chance to take them out and try them out. So I actually did really well on the pike with these, so I was really satisfied with them. I made a couple different variations, as you can see, guys. I did like a white one there, so the white jig head. I also used a couple different blades, and a white and silver flash skirt, and white and silver flash Zaco. I did these, I think they call them perch, which are kind of like a green pumpkin on the top, you can kind of see there, and orange with red. I don't know if you guys can see that, but you can see all the teeth marks from the pike on that one. And I tried some black ones. I made there's like a black with a blue flake, and you can see that one has a teeth mark from a pike too. So more than a few. And small shit, the shaky head and the clip there. I tried making a couple different ways. I bought everything from a company online called Lure Parts Online. So you kind of only need three things. You need your jig head, your jig or jig head. So you guys can see I did a football one, and I did this trocar. What is this one called? The Do It Swim Pro. These ones use a trocar hook. I'll talk about these. So a couple different ones. You guys, as I was holding up there, I have ones with the trocar style jig, and I have ones with the football jig. So with a smaller blade and a smaller jig, you don't get as much action with the smaller blade, but with a smaller jig, that might be okay. The other thing I want to point out here, guys, is I really love trocar hooks. I think, especially for pike, pike are like teeth with a body attached to them. Those guys have teeth in everywhere in their mouths. They have teeth on the roof of their mouths. I don't think they have tongues. I think they just have more teeth. They have like teeth in their gills. If you ever had to stick your fingers in a pike's gills, it's like Velcro in there. Your fingers stick right to it. So I want to use the trocar hook. And the other thing that's tricky about these, that you need to make sure that you use the correct hook, is you need this for this jig eye. You guys notice it's turned 90 degrees. So most other jig hooks, if you guys see one here, the eye is flat, whereas this one is a 90-degree thing. And the reason you need that 90-degree eye is because when you go to do these, you're gonna, unless you have a way of opening up that eye and attaching this directly into this one, which is a real, that would could possibly weaken your hook where it would break right at the eyelet, even just when you're building it. So this one, because I'm doing this myself, I'm just using a split ring to attach the blade there. So I need this hook to have that 90-degree turn to the eye. So there are a couple of models of trocar hook that are available with that one. These are a 5/0. These are actually a light wire. This is a TK825. The other ones that I prefer are 805, which are actually a little more robust. They're a little thicker hook. And I could do this with other hooks as well. And this hook, this trocar hook, it's actually, I think it only goes up to a 5/0. And I really like to get some 6/0 and even maybe 7/0 jig hooks to try this with, because as you can see, I'm planning on going a little bigger. So these ones that I made, they're 3/4 football head. You guys notice I trimmed down the nose of the Zacho to make room for the skirt. I think I would try this even without the skirt again for Pike. I did the 3/4. Here's my football jigs, football jig heads, just like from Do It. So what I had to modify my molds, you guys, on this one anyways. You guys notice I just cut a little slot with my Dremel tool to make it so that eye that's there, if you can see a little bit better on the plain unpainted one, fits. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to close the jig, close the mold and cast my lead. So you need to make a little bit of a modification. I may have gone a little bit overboard, but I just got to trim a little bit of lead when I take these out of the mold. I don't have one that I haven't, that's untrimmed kind of to show you guys. And I can still use this for both styles of jig. So I haven't damaged this mold. I haven't made it so I can only do one thing with it. It's still versatile enough that I can make both style of football jigs with this guy. So it's a weedless one. I use the little Teflon pins if I want to keep it weedless. I can do my powder painting and then take the pin out and glue in my my weed guard if I like to, or I'll place that little pin in there just enough that I'll snip the lead off, or I'll just snip a little bit off, or just make it so it's kind of flush, and then file it down when I'm just before I powder paint it. So I really like the 3/4 ounce size. That seemed like a really good size for this, and I used the larger blade. Yeah, there's kind of two sizes of blades available. There's what they call the regular blade. This is a jig dancer blade in copper. There's also I have the black ones as well. And in stainless, this one is called a mag jig dancer blade. And this one happens to have what they call turbo holes or the bubble holes. And this one, you can really feel this lure moving at the end of your line. Your rod sets up a cadence with this. I do a lot of trolling for my kayak. It's probably my #1 way of fishing. It helps me find areas in the water. I use my electronics to see what territory looks like and what I'm gonna be passing, what kind of looks a little fishy and what doesn't. And I hit up the spots that I see kind of come back to them, or I'll mark spots where I did catch a fish, and then I'll keep trying to kind of come back to that area. So it lets me find and map out areas really quickly. I kind of stick to about between 10 and 15 feet of water. But this one with the 3/4 ounce head and this larger blade, I was really happy with it. It has a really nice cadence to it. I think it makes the difference with this guy, with this Zacho body that sets up this paddle tail, or this the tail that it has to move in the water just right. And you can actually see this guy was making contact with my football head a little bit here. So don't have it right now, but I do plan on getting another style of jig mold, of a lead head mold, that will do two things for me. It will have a skinnier profile, so it won't contact my blades as much, and it will have a jointed hook, or the hook won't be able to attach, so it'll let the hook move on the end of the head there. So even more action and movement out of my lure. So yeah, did it in black. Did catch some pike on the black. I really did them well. It was kind of not a real overcast day. Not real bright either, kind of medium. The weather or the water wasn't too stained, so I did the best I think on the white, and the perch color. And to be fair, you guys, this is a lake where most of the forage is probably coming from perch. And I did try with the black as well, and I did catch a couple pike on the black also. So I don't think that this needs the weedless, the weed guard there. I did give it a try just to see how I liked it. I think I'll leave them off. I did get this one snagged on something at one time, and it's kind of spread the hook apart a little bit. I think on a different setup that won't be a problem, but I don't feel like I needed that weed guard. I think with the movement of this blade enough is such that it clears the weeds for the most part. The other thing I meant to mention is I went with the heavier weight with that 3/4 ounce because I wanted to get my lure down to where the fish were. I did make a couple with the shaky, I keep wanting to call this a snooty jig, the Swim Pro jig, at a 1/2 ounce, and then a 3/4 for the football. The fish were a little deeper, so I wanted to go, especially with the extra resistance from this big blade, I wanted to get a little deeper, and that's why I went with 3/4 ounce. I'm just waiting for a shipment of hooks here, and I'll be making some with the 1 ounce. Already tried a couple 3/4 ounce, I'm gonna be putting them together. And I think I'm gonna stick to these larger blades. I'll do a couple different ones. I'd like to try these for some other fish species. The other part you need, so sorry, I kind of got sidetracked there. So you need your jig, you need your blade, a split ring, and then the other thing that you need is a dual lock snap. So that guy just goes through into here. You don't need this exact one. You could do this with a swivel if you like, but these seem to be what were recommended, and they seem to work pretty good. And so the ones I got were the 25-pound dual lock snap. So I got them in both stainless and in black. I don't think it matters. I think from going forward, I would just go with the stainless ones to get those ones. So yeah, hook, your jig head. This guy, just as you can see, got to make sure you get that 90-degree jig hook eye, because you're going to attach the blade with the split ring there. So that being said, that's a good size. I didn't catch any big fish with this. I caught, now this is a lake that is fairly close to a large city, and the limit, so all the pike that I caught were within 1 inch or 2 of the limit of what you could keep. So they're about 1 inch too small. So being a pike fisherman, I of course decided I needed to try this and try and take it to the next level. So this is a mold that I have for doing your plastic. It's you guys can see it's about an 8-inch lure, and it's a paddle tail. And from that, I kind of took some Sculpey, and I copied the shape of the head, and with that I made myself a mold so that I could make the jig head that matches this lure body. So I made myself the lure body, and I made myself the jig head, and you guys can see that's a pretty good size hook. That's pretty large. And then with this mag blade, the mag jig dancer blade, and because I had made this guy out of silicone, I was able to cut a slot so that when I put my eyelets in place here, I can slip my blade right in place, and this guy so that it fits over the eye that's cast into the jig, and then I can make one monster of a jig. So, guys, I thought I was playing around with purple because I know walleyes like purple. I didn't see any walleyes in that lake. I think that lake just has pike in it, the one I went to, and you can see just how much larger that guy is compared to the 4-inch Zacho there on one. So I'm excited to take this somewhere with a lot larger pike and maybe a bit maybe a little farther away from the city, where there's a better chance that I might meet some hungry pike that will like to see this guy. So like I said, this stuff kind of came together for me right at the end of the season, so I only got a chance to take one trip out. It's October now. Thanksgiving was last weekend. It's pretty cold up here. It's I live up north and it's about -15 today. Even walking the dogs is starting to lose its appeal outside right now. So I'm not getting outside on the kayak anytime soon to tempt some pike, but I'm looking forward to building some more of these guys and seeing how they do. So hope you guys like my video. I've noticed I'm hitting the 15-minute mark now. It's kind of a bit long. Maybe you guys can watch it at double speed or something like that. Thanks for watching, you guys. Keep your line in the water. Bye-bye.